Hello and welcome to this episode of the Worth Watching podcast. Today our guest is Kaiser Johnson. If you recall or are a follower of this podcast, you'll remember that he was on an episode earlier about the top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of all time. And today we're going to be talking about something that is a pet peeve of his, which is what, Kaiser?
Well, it depends on the scenario, but the overcasting. Let's just go there. The overcasting of different nationalities as Americans and vice versa, particularly in roles that really should be played by their own nationality. And yeah, that's what it is. And another follow-up on our last episode, I did see Sabotage. It was awful. Don't waste your money. It's really unfortunate. It was awful. I was sad that I had ever been excited about it.
Oh, that's got to be incredibly disappointing. Well, you still have Expendables 3 to look forward to, and hopefully that,
I still have that to look forward to. So, here's hoping that's awesome.
Indeed. All right, so the people that you're talking about here playing roles of other nationalities, I'm just going to throw out a couple names that I think are the sorts of things you're talking about.
Sure.
Which would be like Joel Edgerton and Jason Clarke.
Joel Edgerton and Jason Clarke have played everybody and everything in America for the last year and a half, and I'm tired of that.
And then like maybe Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes, or what's his name? The guy who plays Hannibal in the new Hannibal series.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes, Mads Mikkelsen playing a Russian in Casino Royale when he's Swedish, etc., etc.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule. Like, Robert Downey Jr. is so much fun to watch as Sherlock Holmes that you forget that Sherlock Holmes is even supposed to be British, because it's clear that Robert Downey Jr. is not really even playing him that British. But
I thought he did a decent job with the accent, though, for far better than most people who attempt an out-of-the-box British accent, in my opinion.
Right, sure. But there seems to be, and it seemed, I think something that's been irritating me about it recently is it's definitely been swayed a lot in one direction and not the other direction, in the sense that Brits and Australians are getting cast all the time to play Americans, and you almost never see Americans cast as Brits or Australians, because that doesn't really make sense. But it's becoming really.
I would disagree to a point on that, but I would also say, well, okay, first of all, just to clarify a point, you're not specifically talking about people badly playing other nationalities. It just annoys you, even if it's flawless. Like Joel Edgerton can play an American perfectly, but it still annoys the heck out of you.
It does, and I'm not sure exactly. There's a lot of reasons why, and some of those reasons are sometimes you can tell, and another reason why is just sort of the question of, but why? And the very smallest portion of it, and maybe the most selfish portion of it, is, come on, where are these American jobs going overseas for, and stuff like that. Which is, I get that that's maybe the most shameful part of that, but that's part of it too.
And on the other hand, again, I think you have. I mean, I'll let me posit a reason why I personally don't mind it. And that's that if I were to be a casting director for a film, I would cast the character based on a type of person who I wanted to play the role, or a person who I really thought could play the role well, regardless of nationality that they were, as long as they could convincingly play the nationality that they were supposed to be. Like there are people that's like, oh, they have the perfect look or the perfect voice, or just their mannerisms would fit that role so beautifully if only they were Scandinavian, but they're not,
Right.
Where it's like, I don't know anyone off the top of my head other than like, I could pick. I do know some Scandinavian actors, but that's not my point.
Sure.
My point is that you might have a specific actor who's of a different nationality, and you go, but they would be so perfect for that role. Can they do an accent?
Right, and I mean I understand that to some extent, but
look at Andrew Lincoln on The Walking Dead. He is Rick Grimes. I mean, he's perfect for the role.
Yes, so yeah. And honestly, I mean, I can find no fault with any performance I've seen Jason Clarke ever give, and I
don't like Jason Clarke, but I just don't like him because I don't.
Okay,
like him.
But and it's
I have absolutely no reason for disliking him. I just don't like him.
I mean, he's sort of, not such a much as like, and that's something. Well, and then for instance, you take someone like Sam Worthington, and he's always trying to play Americans, and he's bad at it because he can't do an American accent to save his.
Or to be honest, I love the actor, but Gerard Butler can't play Americans, and he does all the time.
For heaven's sake, Gerard Butler! Why would you ever cast him as an American? He's not going to sound American.
Right. I mean, even
he sounds like a drunk
Scottish person who moved to America and is trying to impersonate an American person.
Exactly. I mean,
I think that probably accurately describes Gerard Butler in any movie that he's playing an American in. He's a drunk Scot. He's probably
drunk. Have you seen Chasing Maverick? It's not a very good movie. Actually,
I haven't.
His American accent is the most all over the place that it's ever been in any movie where he's played an American ever.
I've heard it pretty bad sometimes.
Watch
My name is Gerard Butler, and I'm your Secret Service agent, and I'm definitely American.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, okay, so take for instance Secret Service agents, they're all gonna, I mean, that's where it really starts to bug me is when it's like a distinctly American character.
Yeah.
Someone who's not, like, look at a bunch of superhero movies. We've got tons of non-Americans playing these American roles. I mean, Superman is played by, is being played by a Brit. And who is
at least Captain America is played by an American.
At least Captain America is played by an American.
You would have had a conniption if Joel Edgerton played Captain America.
Yeah. I mean,
Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, who's Norse, and Chris Hemsworth is Australian, and you have.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit more okay with that because he's not really Norse.
He's this alien god thing.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit more okay with it. Like, I'm okay with it was a little weird that they went like multicultural Vomit City over all the Thor movies of like, let's put someone from every demographic in here.
Right,
but like, I didn't have any problem with Idris Elba playing,
Well, Idris Elba is just phenomenal.
He's great.
Again, he has the voice and the personality for the role, regardless of his nationality.
Yeah, and so like I have no problem with certain choices like that, but I mean, here, even take, it's not even necessarily, so the Fargo television show that's coming out. Look who's cast in that. You've got Martin Freeman.
Yep.
Billy Bob Thornton.
And by the way, Martin Freeman's North Dakotan accent is horrible, by the way.
I noticed, and I've just seen the trailers and stuff.
I know, I haven't seen the show. I just watched it. I was like, wow, that's awful.
That's really bad. And there's him, there's Billy Bob Thornton, and there's Colin Hanks. And it's like, the problem isn't just that there are people playing someone not from the right region, but that there are people who are known for being distinctly from another region.
Right, exactly.
Everyone knows that Martin Freeman is famous for being British.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton is famous for being Southern. He's from Arkansas, and boy, do you know that the moment that he opens his mouth.
Right.
Colin Hanks is famous for being born and raised in California.
Right.
Like, for heaven's sake, why would you pick the? I'm glad to see that at least they've got one Midwesterner in there with Bob Odenkirk, who plays a great Midwesterner, and because he's from Illinois.
Like, Bob Odenkirk's just great in everything, though.
But the whole movie, I mean, the whole show is supposed to be is distinctly regional, and they pick people who are famously regional from a different region.
Right, and that's
what starts to bother me.
Right, and that's something where I can completely agree with you, especially in the fact that, again, Billy Bob Thornton and Martin Freeman cannot do very convincing Midwestern accents, and so and not only that, it's again because the whole point of the show is the location.
Right.
Now, on a bit of a tangent, I want to pitch something to you here. Not exactly pitch, but just tell you about something. I don't know if you're aware of the depth of this, but so there's a movie coming out this year called Exodus: Gods and Kings. It's a Moses story.
I think vaguely.
You've heard about this vaguely, but I'm going to list you the cast list. Okay. I want to hear your reaction to this. Okay.
Right.
Moses is played by Christian Bale.
Oh boy.
Joshua is played by Aaron Paul.
What?
Tuya is played by Sigourney Weaver. Ramesses is played by Joel Edgerton.
What?
Nun is played by Ben Kingsley. And Seti is played by John Turturro.
Wait a minute. What?
Yep. That's your cast list, and it's directed by Ridley Scott.
That That is a mess. I mean, that is just there's not a single one of those that makes any sense.
Well, Ben Kingsley can play any nationality because no one knows where he's from.
I mean, it's probably not literally true, but yeah.
You know what I mean. I mean, he played Gandhi, and he played the Mandarin, and he plays every British person under the sun, so he can clearly play a variety of nationalities.
Sure, but I mean, first of all, Aaron Paul can't be in a period piece, period. And for that matter,
Moses, I think I found some tablets, yo.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He could surprise me, but I've only seen him ever be very contemporary.
Yeah.
And he's definitely got a
speed isn't helping his
for sure.
Right.
And I mean, Christian Bale, for that matter, I can't think of any period thing I've seen him in where I was sold by it.
Wasn't he the star of Little Women? I mean, let's be honest here.
I haven't seen that in
that was a lie. No.
I mean,
he was fine in it, but it wasn't,
3:10 to Yuma, but you could tell that he was trying not to talk because he knew his accent wasn't great for 3:10 to Yuma.
Right. In general, though, I will say Christian Bale generally does a fairly good job with accents.
I mean, he's a real chameleon, so I generally think that he's very.
We should they should have just cast Gary Oldman as everybody.
I very rarely have a problem with him being cast as like okay, he was cast as Batman, who is a distinctly American hero, but I was okay with that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Christian Bale as Moses is not the best casting choice, but it's a livable one. And I think Ben Kingsley as Nun is a decent. I think Nun is actually one of the Egyptian gods. I think, right?
No. Nun is Joshua's father.
Okay, sorry, my bad. I'm thinking of Newt. Never mind.
Newt, yes.
But yeah. So Ben Kingsley and Christian Bale and maybe even John Turturro, because John Turturro is at least European. He's in that sort of Mediterranean region. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't like heritage wise, I'm talking here.
Right. Yeah.
And so like those three maybe, but once you start getting into Sigourney Weaver and Aaron Paul, and Joel Edgerton,
those just seem like just careless casting choices. Right. I mean, but I guess I mean, like, I know I've talked to some people within the industry who have multiple reasons why this keeps happening. Where there's a couple of senses of one, amongst British, Australian, and Canadian production companies, they all can work. All those actors can all work under the same agreements. It's like their SAG-AFTRA all can work under the same Commonwealth agreements, and so they employ each other, and are more hesitant in Canadian productions, British productions, and Australian productions to employ anyone who's not Canadian, British, or Australian. Whereas we don't show any sort of discrimination in that regard. And in the U.S.,
on the other hand, though,
not any, but
no. What I was just going to say that we're not just talking about British productions not using American actors, but even American productions not using American actors to play people of other.
Right, and that's what I was going to say is that. In the United States, we do tend to show. One of my friends was saying I have a friend who's an entertainment journalist and said a couple of benefits is that a lot of times actors from Canada, Britain, and Australia will come with a lot of experience and a lot of training and are willing to just she says they're very game. They'll do whatever. And work for less, and they have all that, and so they cost less than a comparatively credentialed American actor, and at the same time, there's this sense, right or wrong, that they just have more gravitas than American actors do, and that American actors are casual or contemporary, and so yeah,
And I'm going to throw one thing out there, which I'm curious as to your opinion on.
Yeah.
Is I would say that I also feel that I more consistently see just atrocious butcherings of foreign dialects by American actors than of an American accent by a foreign actor.
And I'd say that
I'm not saying you won't find
when it comes to atrocious butcheries, I'd say that that's a fair criticism, because yes, you're right, and I mean there is
what was that Josh Hartnett movie where he's supposedly British, and it's like nothing you've ever heard.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like, well, I stopped down to the thing for a pint. It's this awful blend of American and British and Scottish and just all sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think of what was that stupid movie with Anne Hathaway that I didn't.
Oh yeah, that one too, where she's playing a British movie.
She's supposed to be British, and I agree, like dumb choice.
Yeah, or Leonardo DiCaprio in Blood Diamond playing someone from South Africa,
right?
And he sounds like a Southern person who's trying a French accent the entire time.
Right. Or I was really upset with so Jake Gyllenhaal playing the Prince of Persia. Like
I never even watched that movie.
I know it's based off of a video game, but there are a lot of very talented Iranian actors who you could
for sure.
And Persian, ethnic Persian actors too that you could cast. So it does cut both ways, but I think it happens a lot more often that American productions will cast Commonwealth actors and not the other way around. And there, I think it does. I think the part that makes me upset about it is that I think there's two sides of that I don't like, and one is there is a certain cost, and American producers can save money on hiring.
Hang on, you cut out for just a second there, so I missed what you said. You said there's a certain something.
Oh, it may just be an economic concern of American producers can save money hiring Commonwealth actors, and so can Commonwealth production companies, and they both save money by hiring within the there's
it's beneficial to both parties to go with that direction, is what you're saying.
Right. No matter who's producing, and so it comes down to the producer's decision, and the producers are going to choose the less expensive actors who they think they can still bank on. But at the same time, I think the reason it doesn't happen. I think part of the reason it doesn't happen in the reverse direction is there isn't this cultural stereotype in Britain of, boy, we need a really great respected actor. Like they're fine just hiring other Brits. Right. Like exactly. instead of us being like, we really need someone with gravitas here. Let's get a Brit.
Anyone American in the entire Harry Potter series, or anyone who wasn't from the British Isles?
No. Not that I can think of or know of. I mean, they were all British actors. I mean, in the stories of Harry Potter, there are no.
Well, of course, but that's what I'm saying. Was there anyone from Australia or Canada or America playing a Brit in any of them? Because I can't think of any.
No, I don't think so. Not that I can think of. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but even when the other, I only saw bits and pieces of the fourth film, but the people who are coming from Beauxbaton and Durmstrang and stuff like that. I think
the actor who played Victor Crumb may have been Romanian or something like that.
Okay.
But still, vaguely European. Yes. But then I now have a question for you though.
Yeah.
And that's because I feel like, again, to a degree, I feel like the point of an actor is to portray someone they're not. And so you can, and that's, and I think that would in general extend to nationality as part of the acting craft to be able to do that. And, why not, if you're going to say, well, I think people should play, should stick to their nationality when playing a character, then why should you not only have people who have actually been Secret Service agents play Secret Service agents?
And
actually welders play welders.
That's not really my argument, though. It's not that they should only stick to that. I'm just tired of the huge preponderance of Commonwealth actors playing Americans and also actors doing a poor job of playing
okay, so you're saying go ahead.
And completely unnecessarily cast in that role, or like cast against type in that role,
right?
Where it doesn't make sense to cast them in that role in the first place, and they do it anyway because of the actor, like Jake Gyllenhaal as Prince of Persia,
right? He's known for being
like,
the American pretty boy guy.
Yeah, I mean, why would you make a decision like that? And
Right.
how does that make any sense? So, I mean, and Persia in that movie was populated entirely by Brits except for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, that's in any period piece, everywhere is populated entirely by Brits, whether it's Rome or whether it's in this, Exodus, Egypt, or anywhere, anytime that you want to convey a sense of something happening a long time ago, suddenly you need a British accent to do it. That's been a Hollywood thing forever.
Yes, yeah, it has. So I don't know. I'd be interested to hear, your viewers or either your viewers' thoughts on what their thoughts are on this, and if they,
I will say, I am getting sick
if they're in the
of Guy
entertainment industry,
Pearce being
something
everything.
different than what I know about why this happens,
right,
and stuff like that. But yeah,
I will say I am sick of Guy Pearce being in everything. In the fact that because he does a
I like when
American
Guy
accent.
Pearce plays British or Australian characters because he is British and grew up in Australia.
Right.
So I'm totally okay with him playing those, but it is them really again and again casting them him distinctly against type. Like when he was in LA Confidential, like he played, this sort of overly schooled, upper crust. When in the cop world sort of guys, because it was okay that his British accent bled in a little, or his whatever his amalgam accent is bled in, but when he's playing this Chicago guy in Lawless and stuff,
right,
his
accent is not a Chicago. I don't even know what
it was. I mean, it's just painful to watch.
Right. And for the record, I did like the film Lawless, but Guy Pearce was a poor casting choice, I think.
I didn't like the film Lawless.
Well,
and Pearce was a poor casting.
I like Tom Hardy and thought that he was actually a good American in that film for the most part.
He did a good job. I won't.
I thought. Have you seen Warrior or no?
I have not. No.
Because I thought he was cast with type in that movie, so it shouldn't annoy you. And he played the American well, and he played his role very well. And I thought that there was no one else I would have rather seen in his role than him.
That takes place in Boston, right, or no?
I think maybe like Pennsylvania or somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where the film is supposed to take place, actually. Somewhere on the Mid-East, perhaps, in the United States. But I'm not sure where the characters are supposed to be from, so I can't actually answer that. But I thought Tom Hardy was really good.
It says here Pittsburgh.
Okay, so that's right, Pennsylvania.
So, yeah. I mean, it's just that they're these brothers who are supposed to be, both American, and Pittsburgh is pretty darn American.
That's very true.
And urban and that kind of thing. And they're both played by, Australian and Brit.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, again, and I don't want to come off, I probably already did, probably way too late, as, xenophobic or anything like that. But
anyone who had that concern has left this long ago. They're not still watching. It's too late to apologize.
I don't know. Like I said, I would like to hear from your viewers, and if they have any theories about why it go, or if they have stuff that contradicts what I've just said of if they go, look, here's way more Americans playing Commonwealth people than Commonwealth playing Americans.
Again, I'll say I think that in general, the Commonwealth people suddenly become more ingrained in it because they'll win awards for playing Americans because they do it so convincingly and so effortlessly, it seems. And so they'll start getting typecast as Americans because they're like, oh, I want the guy who played that Secret Service agent in X, Y, and Z movie. Whereas you see this American step way outside their comfort zone and play someone from some other country, and everyone goes, well, that was an interesting turn for them to take, and then they never do it again,
Yeah.
So I think that's why you see it more in ways. Because, if you look at the world as a whole, especially in Europe, you have a very ingranation, if that's a word, of American culture and stuff like that in television, music, things like that. So people are a lot more accustomed to specifics of the American language. I think people over there pay more attention to specifics of language and dialect and things like that than Americans do a lot of the time. And so,
there's without a doubt, there is much more of a tendency for British actors to be well trained and British Commonwealth actors to be heavily trained compared to their American counterparts, and that includes training in doing dialects and that kind of thing. But I mean, there's plenty of highly skilled American actors who can do dialects and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, a little bit. I guess I would have the question of like, especially when there's these British actors or Australian actors who are not like a name already and then they get cast, like Joel Edgerton a couple of years ago,
right?
Or Jason Clarke a couple of years ago. And Jason Clarke is still, not a household name, but he's in everything.
Yeah.
And like, why is he getting cast over American actors of a similar caliber and non-recognition?
Right.
Because to me it doesn't make sense to cast.
And I will agree with that it seems arbitrary. Aside from the fact that, I mean, Jason Clarke is a good actor. Again, I have some odd, completely random dislike of him, but he is a good actor.
Okay, so let's go Sam Worthington. Why?
Yeah, okay.
Sam Worthington getting cast in anything. Sorry, Sam, if you're listening.
If he was listening, you would have turned it off a long time ago because you insulted him like 3 minutes into this. So,
yeah,
that's not happening.
I'm sure he is listening too. He's probably like, "Oh, let's see what sort of podcast I'm mentioned in today."
Well, now he's definitely not. So you're clear there.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, thank you very much, Kaiser, for being on the podcast again, everybody. So if you want to comment down below on what you think of, again, the prevalence of Commonwealth actors playing Americans, and if you can think of more Americans playing other nationalities, and particularly point out your least favorite portrayal of any actor playing someone from a completely different nationality, what you think was the worst example of that you've ever seen. We listed a couple, but we want to hear what you guys think down below in the comments. And, of course, if you like the video, comment down below, and